shot for like the longest time there, but I was recording, so that's good. That's good for the battery that I'm trying to preserve. Hello, happy Halloween. This is my Halloween costume. Can we guess who I am? I'm Alice Law from Catabasis. Very aware Alice Law is Asian. I'm very much relying on the fact that Turkey is half in Asia and I'm Turkish to really tie this whole thing together. And actually I will say, I don't think Alice Law is a tie wearer, but I had a flashback whenever I was getting ready. Obviously this whole outfit came from my wardrobe because when did Halloween get so expensive? I don't think she's a tie wearer, but I was trying to make it not look like it was from my wardrobe. It's just dark academia, so how am I making that look less like it's from my wardrobe? I have the chalk so I can go to hell. I am wearing a tie because I'm a student, PhD student. I'm also very aware in Catabasis they had a cat, but I have a Miley. So that's that. I had a flashback whenever I was getting ready of a time I was working with my friend Nadine and we decided to dress up as old ladies and went into work on Halloween. Like, everyone did it. It was funny. We dressed up as old ladies, went into work, and anytime we saw anyone they were like, where did you get those ugly clothes? Where did you get those horrific, ugly, moth-eaten clothes? And Nadine had borrowed hers from her mum, but I was like, oh, just my wardrobe, thanks. It was just a jumper and some grey trousers. Anyway, traumatised. So please don't say, where'd you get that ugly outfit? I'm in a Halloween costume, but they're also my own clothes. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm so glad we can move on. So glad. Here is my October reading wrap up. I've just remembered what this video is. I don't want to move on anymore. In October I read one book. What? You didn't hear? Oh, in October I read one book. I don't think I can say it any clearer, guys. I think the issue's on your end, not me. I'll say it one more time. In October I read one book. Okay, now that's out in the open, we can move on. In October I read one book. And it wasn't even a good one. No, sorry, it wasn't a bad one. My issue is, in October I was in a slump. I had a whole other idea for a YouTube video where I was going to reread my favourite books, and in doing so I fell into an slump of epic proportions. I'm like, is it my favourite book if it caused me to never want to pick up another book again? I was rereading The Wicked King from the Prince trilogy. It was really good, but I was really struggling to find time to read it. And then I was like, do I finish reading it? Because I know how the story ends. So it's not even like that's keeping me enthralled. I know what the outcome's going to be. So I just never picked up the book. And then you guys saw in the vlogs, I was busy doing other things. I was learning how to knit. I was visiting family. What else did I do in those vlogs? God, such a long time ago. I was working. I went to the Giants games. So much was going on in October that I didn't read. Anyway, so I'm not really counting that book. Well, no, I am counting that book as it's going on the Goodreads challenge tally, but I'm not here to talk about that book because I might finish off that video at some point. All the clips are recorded. It would be a real shame not to, but I reread The Wicked King. You guys know what happens in the Prince trilogy. If you don't, you should read it. I clearly like it. It's one of my favourite series, or so I thought, until it caused a slump. It didn't cause a slump. I was just, October, guys, I think the pressure is really on in October to have a comfy, cozy season. Oh, I want to cuddle up with a cup of tea and a book. Oh, I want to have the fire on and watch like a cozy Halloween movie. And all of that is well and good, but then when you go to do it, you're like, am I doing it right? I don't know. I got in my own head about how I was spending my free time, and then I couldn't read. I got stage fright. I'm shy. But obviously I go to book club, so I had a book club book to read this month, and boy did I. This month for book club we were reading Rewitched. I have the physical book somewhere, but like I never picked it up. I relied solely on the audiobook, and one of the reasons I got through the audiobook was because I borrowed it from the library, and Libby was like, oh, your book will be returned in 2 days, or whatever the notification is. Sorry, I'm crying. Apparently my slump really got to me, I'm crying. Libby sent me a notification to be like, oh, can you return your book because it's due in 2 days and other people want to borrow it. And I was really worried that one of the people that had put a hold on it went to the same book club as me, so I couldn't extend. I just felt like I had to get the book done. Whacked that on 2 times speed, was learning how to knit, listening to Rewitched. And guys, that book, I give it 2 out of 5 stars. Let's start there. I give it 2 out of 5 stars. The story follows a woman called Belladonna something. Blackthorn? maybe. But they call her Belle. Belle is a woman, 29-year-old woman that turns 30. And we hear about her turning 30, and for about 5 chapters in the lead up to her turning 30, she is talking about how terrible it's going to be to turn 30. That wasn't very enjoyable to read, to be honest. And I said in book club, I know I'm the anomaly where I don't really think I'm going to mind turning 30, because I actually plan to live to 250. I plan to live to 300. I plan to live for as long as I can. So to do that, I'm actually going to have to turn 30. I view it that way, as opposed to, oh my god, 30, all the fun parts of my life is over. I should have done so much more by now. Who cares? So already, she wasn't really getting my sympathy in that regard. And then we find out she's a witch. You very much have to be told this because she's not doing very much with her magic, and she finds out that she's actually being summoned for a trial that all witches go through when they're 30. This hush hush secret trial. Oh, we can't tell Belle about the secret trial she has to go through when she's 30 apparently, because no witch is allowed to tell another witch, and everyone goes through it on their own, and it's a chance to prove what they've been doing with their magic up until this point of their life, and if it's deemed worthy, they get to keep their magic. But if they've been neglecting their magic, not really doing good with their magic, doing bad with their magic, doing nothing with their magic gets taken away. Fair dues, so I would think. All witches in this universe also get their magic at 15, so you've basically got 15 years without magic and 15 years with magic, and then they want to see how the 2 portions of your life measure up against each other, and if you deserve to keep going with the magic. I think fair enough. Belle was like, whoa, what do you mean you're going to take my magic away from me? What do you mean you're going to take the magic that I have and I only use to make a cup of tea and to change the radio channel? What do you mean you're going to take that magic away from me? I do so much good. I am also going to say it the opposite. Obviously, the magic is a big metaphor for just us in our everyday real life. We're all magic. Haha, I get it. The trial is like a comparison for the midlife crisis freak out we all have, being like, what am I doing with my life? Is it even worthwhile? Yada. I understand all that. I just didn't like the main character enough to think it was justified. I was rooting for this woman to lose her magic. Flicking your finger to change to change the radio channel actually manually is just a flick of the finger. And 2, I don't know, get a Google Home. I don't know what to tell you. Use Siri. Don't use your magic. Anyway, sorry. That's plot 1, basically, is her going through this whole trial. Plot 2 is that she works in a bookshop that's owned by this woman who is begging Belle to take the bookshop from her. She wants to transfer ownership to Belle. Free bookshop alert. She wants Belle to run the bookshop for her. And Belle's like, no, I don't want to. I don't know, whether she doesn't think she's worthy enough. She doesn't think she would do a good job of it. I don't think she would either, so I think she was right to not take it. I don't know, it's just very hard to balance up that the main character is having this big struggle, being like, oh, I've done nothing with my life so far. This big opportunity's landing in my lap. Oh, I'm not going to take it. I just think at some point you are dealing with a character that is just lazy to a degree. And I just think as well, so many of the habits and traits that Belle had, we were just told about, and then her everyday actions didn't align with them. So we're told she's this big, vivacious reader. The bookshop means so much to her, da-da-da-da-da. But then whenever she is 15, she's given a grimoire, which is basically like a witch's handbook. It talks about the trial in there. It talks about how she's meant to be like it talks about how she's meant to spend her life improving her magic, and like here's a step-by-step guide on how to do so. She's given this big book when she's 15, when she first gets her magic, when her powers manifest. She doesn't open the book ever. 15 years of her life. She never decides to pick up that book. I don't know what she was reading, what brain rot she was going through, that she who loves books was given this big manual on how to be a witch and decided, better not. I already know how to make tea. I'm not going to bother with any of the other stuff. She was just really getting on my nerves. And then as far as the story went, like, there were some other likable characters, but there was also just a romance plot I wasn't really buying into. There was obviously a big bad come the end of it, but I didn't care about any of it very much because I didn't really care about our main character. And it also, sorry, should have said this at the top, this is very much a cozy fantasy. So if you like those and you like low stakes, stakes are on the floor, you might like this more than I did. I just thought for the amount of melodrama we were getting from the main character, I would have liked the stakes to have been worth it to a degree. I also said at book club, I think the lower end of like what a cozy fantasy I can do is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, because even then sometimes I'm a bit like, okay guys, let's get going with something a bit more fast-paced here. But I enjoy those books because I like those characters, I like the way it's told, it's very enjoyable. This book, I didn't like the characters, so not a lot was going for me in that regard. Give it 2 out of 5 stars because I do think it was well written, and I just think, I don't know, I almost wish the romance plot hadn't been in it, and I just wish, like, I think I actually would have appreciated it more if the main character, her traits actually aligned with what we were told about her. It almost felt like the author thought, this is who I want my main character to be, she's gonna love books and da da da, and in that regard it felt more like a self-insert, which I understand to some degree novels are, but this one was just a bit too heavy on it because the actual plot I feel like would have been diverted massively if the main character had acted how the main character was described, if that makes sense. Big disconnect, wasn't really a fan. 2 out of 5 stars for Rewitched. Imagine I was like, and that's the end of the video, bye. That's my October wrap up, bye. No, I decided I'm going to tell you guys some of the books I am going to read going into November because I'm going to set myself a mini TBR of sorts. 1, because I need to make sure I pick up some books, and 2, I need to make sure I pick up some books. That's actually the only reason. But I just thought a bit of structure might help me. I've actually come into a lot of books recently. There's been a lot of book hauls, a lot of trips to Waterstones. You guys will have seen some of them. There have been even more than the ones you've seen. It was Irish Book Week there. I went in to look at a new Irish bookshop, bought books. So I really need to give a bit of structure to my reading. And so I thought I'd set myself a mini TBR with you guys and we could see how we go. I'm only going to show you 4 books that I plan, 5 books that I plan to read. 2 of them are book club-ish picks, so you'll see. But there is also going to be a bit of flexibility around it. So I've split them into categories. We will start with the book club picks first. The first book that I'm reading for book club is The Names. You guys will see me talk about this in my last vlog, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here. You guys should just go watch that. But I nominated this book for our book club November picks and it won. I've nominated books before and they've lost. They've actually lost miserably. There was one time I was the only one that voted for it. I'll put that in here. Like, guys, this win, hard fought. I'm very happy it won. It basically follows a few parallel storylines based on the same character. The only difference, I literally said I wasn't going to talk about it, the only difference in these universes is the name that main character got called, and it kind of shows how a name can impact where your story is going, where your life is going, and it touches on some heavy topics as well, so maybe look at the trigger warnings if you're sensitive to things of a hard, heavy nature before you pick it up. But that's our first book. If you want a proper description, go watch the last vlog. That's that. And then the second book that is kind of a book club pick is Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas. And I've actually already started this one. I have the audiobook playing thanks to my Spotify hours and I'm really enjoying it. It was a slow to get into, but I'm about halfway now and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go. Well, I'm actually like, yeah, okay, let's go, because obviously I'm knitting. Some of the girls in book club and I were just talking about other books we want to read and about maybe reading another book at the same time, just so we could have a few more discussions. And so that was one of the girls' picks, and we're reading Threadneedle, and it is the story about an oppressed teenage witch, really following closely to Rewitched here, but she lives with her aunt because her parents passed away. She's been told all her life they passed away because of magic. Magic is destructive, magic is a sin, stay away from magic. And whenever she becomes of age, she's going to take part in a binding ceremony to bind her powers so that she never uses them and becomes a fully powerful witch. That's where it kind of comes. She's living a very emotionally abusive life with her aunt who's taken her in after her parents passed away, and at her 16th birthday her mum's best friend comes back to give her a gift, brings her child with her, and Anna, sorry, her main character is Anna, finds out that Effie, who is the mum's best friend's daughter, is going to be joining the same school as her. And Effie and Celine are fully fledged powerful witches, and Anna doesn't understand how they are because she's been told all of her life how magic is so dangerous. So it kind of follows Effie and Anna getting to know each other, and Anna discovering her own powers, and also just the fate and society of witches and covens that she's been neglected of her whole life. Really, really interesting read. A bit dark academia, almost a bit the Hawthorne brothers slash Truly Devious, yeah, because it's a lot of it's set in a school, it's based in the UK, and it follows female friendships and how they can impact each other, and also female familial relationships, as well as these girls just trying to figure out themselves. I do think it's a young adult book because our main character is 16, and at times it does feel a bit too young adult for me, but I am still enjoying it. The storyline has progressed enough now that I'm like, okay, I'm in it, let's find out what's happening. So that will be the second book I read in November. having started it, I hope I finish it. In November, I'd also like to pick up a non-fiction, and this is one I've had on my shelves for a really long time, and like I said in one of the vlogs, I'm trying to eat a bit healthier / make better decisions, simply because I know in December I won't be interested in making good decisions. I will be wanting a wheel of camembert possibly every day. Who am I to deny myself that? But for now, I thought I'd read Ultra Processed People by Chris Van Tullochen, I think maybe. I bought this in Waterstones a while ago. Non-fiction to just better your understanding. Can be a bit of a slog whenever you've got books about witches to be reading. So it's one I'm possibly going to pick up. But that being said, I am a mood reader, like, let's be honest. That's why I've read no books this month. So I do have a non-fiction pick, and it might be this, but it also might be Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. And the reason I'm fluctuating between the two of these is because I have the audiobook from Lemme at the minute for both. Sometimes with a non-fiction, it's nice to listen to the audiobook because it's like it's almost like a TED talk you're listening to. You forget that you're reading a book. Those are my two non-fiction possible picks over this month. Everything's Tuberculosis. It's a book by John Green talking about tuberculosis, which is an infectious disease caused by a bacteria, and he takes the stance, I think, in this book that the disease is no longer caused by bacteria in our society but by human behaviours. And it centres on that stance, and it also follows the life of a tuberculosis patient called Henry, I think. And that is really all I know about the book, other than it is incredibly well received by critics and Booktok alike. If you want to separate them, I think you should. But I would really like to read that. I like John Green as an author, guys. There, I said it. I also have the Anthropocene reviewed by him. That might sneak its way into this category instead, but I do think I'm more interested in reading Everything is Tuberculosis over that one, and I would like to read Ultra Processed People before the two of them. So we'll see what order it comes in. You guys have to watch the November reading wrap up to find out. And maybe the last book I'm going to properly put on my TBR is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. I bought this book as soon as it came out in paperback because I was so interested in reading it the entire time it was in hardback. And then it sat in a Waterstones bag in my room. I did not touch it. Here it is on the list. This one is for all of my girlies and boilies that watched Spinning Out on Netflix, and then when they found out it was cancelled after one season were raging. Sorry, I've actually had to take a minute after remembering that. I'm so annoyed. That show was so good. Anyway, it's like Hellcats all over again. It's like privilege. You know what? I'm not going into this. The Favourites, a romance book talking about an Olympic mixed sex couple of ice skaters that I think might have been childhood sweethearts and then sweethearts and then split up, but they're coming back together obviously for the Olympics. Hold on. The whole world was obsessed with Cat and Heath. Childhood sweethearts turned Olympic hopefuls. They captivated fans with their scorching chemistry, rebellious style and roller coaster relationship on and off the ice. Until that fateful day, as the world watched, the unthinkable happened. Everyone saw it, nobody knows the truth, and that's about to change. Sorry, sounds class actually. I want to pick this up now. Really excited to read this one. Again, don't want to find out too much more because I like to go along for the ride, but Spinning Out is what inspired me and that book because I love that show. I also love Hellcats and Privilege. If they could somehow come back for a season 2, I'd probably watch it. Thanks. And I think those are all the books I'm going to put on my... Oh, no, I wanted a Kindle book on my TBR as well. 1 second. Just because I think also part of what my issue has been with reading is sometimes you actually just don't want to pick up a book. I just bought a physical book of a book I already have on my Kindle. That was silly of me. Need to start picking up the Kindle more. But you know the way sometimes it's so easy to just... Oh, fuck, I have that book as well. Chris bought me a book because I didn't own it, but I have it on my Kindle. So annoying. Sometimes I just don't want to pick up a physical book. Like, I don't know, my arms are sore. I want to sit in bed and click. It could be Binding 13. I don't know. I've been flirting with the idea of reading that series. I love a book set in Ireland, but I don't know if I'll love those ones. If I'm struggling with a YA fantasy, I don't know how I will cope with that. It's also so long, so I do think the Kindle is the only way I will read it. I'm not picking up that big book. What else could it be? Oh, maybe Anxious People by Frederick Backman. I also own on my Kindle, and I love Frederick Backman. I've actually been meaning to finish out his entire back catalogue. I love him. I think he's my favourite author. And you can't really say that until you've read all of their books. So Maybe that's what I'll do. Much to think about. But I'm going to leave my November TBR there, and we shall see how I get on whenever we come back in November. I pray I've read 2 of them. Well, I know I'm going to read 2 of them because I will read a book club book. If I am assigned to reading, I complete the reading, which is the whole point of this video. This is me self-assigning. I just don't care about things I assign. That's the video, guys. That's the video. We have set ourselves a November TBR. If you guys have any suggestions of any books that you think are on similar lines or you think I'll enjoy based on what I've said so far, please let me know. This has been fun. I'm excited to circle back, and wearing a tie has really got me thinking I'm in a Teams meeting. I'm excited to wrap these up at the end of the month and let you guys know what my thoughts were. But for now, I've been Alice Law and I've got to go to hell. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye.